In December 2003, U.S. forces cut the power to a small farming town in Iraq and used thermal scanners to find a man hiding in an 8-foot dirt hole. This capture was presented as the final chapter in the hunt for a rogue dictator, a madman the administration insisted was hoarding weapons of mass destruction. A 40-year trail of intelligence reports reveals a different story. Washington spent decades providing cash and strategic support for Saddam's climb to the presidency. His life is a case study in superpower pragmatism. It reveals how dictators are built to serve a specific purpose and destroyed the moment they stop following orders. The relationship began in 1959. Iraq's Prime Minister, Abdul Karim Qasim, had begun pivoting toward the Soviet Union. Soon after, a 22-year-old Saddam Hussein ambushed Qasim's motorcade in an assassination attempt. The hit failed, but Saddam escaped to Egypt. While in exile, he stayed in continuous contact with CIA officers who used Egyptian intelligence to quietly fund his living expenses and political training. When Saddam's party seized power in a 1963 coup, the CIA provided a secret radio broadcast containing the names and addresses of Soviet sympathizers. Saddam's associates used that list to hunt down and execute rivals in the streets. By 1968, Saddam was Iraq's vice president, maintaining a direct line to CIA station chiefs in the region. When he officially took the presidency in 1979, Western powers saw a reliable partner who would keep Iraq's oil out of Soviet hands. With his exile paid for by American intelligence and his rivals purged using their lists, Saddam reached the presidency as a known quantity. He was a regional shield, positioned to protect the world's oil supply from Soviet influence. That shield was tested immediately. In 1979, the Iranian Revolution installed an anti-American religious leadership right next door, threatening both Saddam's regime and Western interests. When Saddam invaded Iran in 1980, Washington backed him with $5 billion in loans and real-time tactical satellite intelligence. U.S. officers even traveled to Baghdad to provide real-time advice on Iranian troop movements. Saddam used that support to launch chemical attacks, dropping mustard gas on Iranian troops and Kurdish civilians. Intelligence files show U.S. officials knew about these war crimes as early as 1983, yet they continued the flow of aid and blocked any condemnation at the United Nations. In the Cold War, international law was secondary to results. Atrocities were ignored as long as the victims were enemies of the state. This chart shows the cost of that 8-year war. Saddam ended the conflict with $130 billion in debt, nearly 10 times Iraq's annual GDP. When neighboring Kuwait refused to forgive the billions he owed them, Saddam's economy faced collapse. Assuming his history as a Western asset made him an equal partner, Saddam invaded Kuwait in 1990 to seize its oil. He believed Washington would look the other way, just as they had during his chemical attacks. He was wrong. By threatening the stability of global oil prices, he became a liability. In 1991, the U.S. launched Operation Desert Storm, turning their former partner into a global pariah. A dictator's value depends entirely on their ability to protect the status quo. The moment Saddam disrupted global trade, his utility expired. After 9/11, the U.S. administration moved to finish the job. They built a public case for invasion by claiming Saddam was building a new arsenal of nuclear and chemical weapons. But on the ground, UN inspectors found nothing. The only chemical weapons in Iraq were degraded leftovers from the 1980s, the very weapons Saddam had used while he was still an American ally. Despite the lack of evidence, the U.S. launched a massive shock-and-awe bombing campaign in 2003 to remove Saddam from power. The hunt for weapons was a strategic necessity. It provided the justification to remove a rogue agent who had become a threat to the world's most important oil reserves. Saddam was eventually sentenced to hang, but the charges weren't for weapons or 9/11. He was executed for a 1982 massacre, a crime committed during the peak of his cooperation with the United States. While Saddam was buried in his home village, Western oil giants returned to Iraq, signing new extraction deals to manage the nation's resources. Saddam Hussein's legacy is a stark reminder of superpower pragmatism. Dictators are built to serve a strategic interest, and they are dismantled the second